Hey viewers, how are you doing? I am here with my friend Alex, who went on a hike and went through some suspenseful and romantic experiences with a guy. The story is filled with drama and twists. I leave Alex with you guys. So I am Alex and went on a hike a few years back. I adjusted the straps of my backpack and exhaled as I looked up at the towering pines that lined the narrow trail. I had come to the Black Ridge hiking trail to clear my mind, to escape the monotony of city life. But as I took my first few steps into the wilderness, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of damp earth and pine needles, and the sound of rustling leaves followed me like whispers in the wind. A few miles in, I spotted another hiker up ahead, his silhouette moving steadily through the trees. As I caught up, I called out, "Hey, mind if I join you?" The man turned, revealing sharp blue eyes and a slight smirk. He had an effortless charm about him, the kind that made me instinctively cautious. "Sure," he said, adjusting his beanie. "Name's Ethan. You out here alone?" "Yeah," I replied, falling into step beside him. "Needed a break from everything." Ethan nodded as if he understood completely. "Same here. Been coming to this trail for years. Something about it always calls me back." As we hiked deeper into the forest, an easy conversation formed between us. We talked about our favorite trails, the worst storms we had ever hiked through, and even childhood memories. I found myself drawn to Ethan's confidence, the way he seemed at home in the wilderness. It wasn't long before the sun began to set, casting golden hues over the trees, and we decided to set up camp by a small clearing near the river. As the fire crackled between us, I caught Ethan watching me, his gaze lingering a little too long. "What?" I asked, smirking. "Something on my face." Ethan chuckled and shook his head. "No, just thinking. It's nice, you know. He meeting someone out here who actually gets it." There was something unspoken in his words, something heavy, but before I could push further, a sound in the distance made us both freeze. A low guttural growl echoed through the trees. My blood ran cold. "Did you hear that?" Ethan slowly reached for his backpack and pulled out a hunting knife. "Yeah, stay close." The next few moments were a blur. Shadows flickered between the trees. Something moved just beyond our sight, and then a deafening silence. Just as I turned to whisper something to Ethan, a figure lunged from the darkness, tackling me to the ground. My breath hitched as I struggled against the weight pressing me down. A man, filthy and wild-eyed, grinned at me with a look of pure madness. "You shouldn't have come here." Ethan moved fast. Before I could react, he drove his knife into the attacker's shoulder, making him scream and stumble back into the darkness. "Run," Ethan barked, grabbing my arm and pulling me to my feet. We ran through the woods, branches whipping against our skin, our breaths ragged with fear. The growls returned, but this time they were accompanied by laughter, multiple voices circling us. We reached a cave nestled between the rocks, and Ethan yanked me inside, covering my mouth with his hand. He whispered, pressing close against me. We stood there, our bodies inches apart, our breaths mingling in the cold air. Despite the adrenaline, I was painfully aware of how his grip tightened around me, protective yet intimate. After what felt like an eternity, the noises outside faded. Ethan exhaled and finally let go, his hand lingering on my face longer than necessary. "You okay?" he murmured. I nodded, barely able to find my voice. "Yeah, but what the hell was that?" Ethan hesitated before answering. "I've heard rumors about this place. People are disappearing. A group may be some kind of cult hiding in these woods." I swallowed hard. "And you still come here?" Ethan's lips curled into a faint smile. "Told you, I keep coming back. Maybe I was meant to find you here." Despite the fear still curling in my stomach, I felt something else stir inside me at those words. In the dim moonlight filtering through the cave entrance, Ethan's gaze flickered down to my lips, and for a brief moment, the terror of the night melted away as I leaned in. The kiss was slow, hesitant at first, but then deepened as if we had both been waiting for this moment, without even knowing it. It was an anchor in the chaos, a moment of clarity in a night full of uncertainty. But then we heard a scream cut through the night, reminding us that the danger hadn't passed. We pulled apart, our eyes meeting with silent understanding. Whatever was out there wasn't finished with us yet, and neither was this connection between us. "We need to get out of here," Ethan whispered, gripping my hand. "Together." I nodded. "Together." We made our way back into the forest, every shadow now a potential threat. The deeper we went, the more unsettling the woods became. Strange markings carved into trees, makeshift altars with rotting offerings. It was no longer just a trail. It was a hunting ground, and we were the prey. Ethan's grip on my hand was firm, reassuring. Every now and then, he'd glance back at me, checking if I was okay. I wasn't. My heart pounded, my breaths were shaky, but I knew one thing, that being with him made me feel safer than I ever had before. The sound of footsteps closed in on us. We ducked behind a fallen tree, just as figures moved through the trees. I counted 4, maybe 5. Their silhouettes illuminated by flickering torches. They whispered in a language I didn't recognize, their words eerie and rhythmic. I could feel Ethan's breath against my ear as he whispered, "We have to keep moving." We crept through the underbrush, every step measured, every breath held. Just as we thought we had put enough distance between us and them, a sudden sharp cry rang out. I turned just in time to see one of the figures mere feet from me. My body froze. His face was covered in tribal, like paint, his eyes wide with something that wasn't quite human. Ethan acted before I could. He lunged, shoving the man back into the darkness before grabbing my wrist and pulling me into a desperate sprint. The chase was on. Branches tore at my skin, my legs burned. But we ran like our lives depended on it. Just when I thought we couldn't go any farther, the forest thinned, and I saw it. The trail had some lights. Ethan let out a relieved laugh as we burst onto the road, panting and trembling. We turned back, expecting to see the figures chasing us, but there was nothing. Just the silent, watchful trees. It was as if they had never been there at all. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then, Ethan reached up, cupping my face in his hands. His touch was warm despite the cold. "We made it," he whispered. I nodded, exhaling shakily. "Yeah, thanks to you." His thumb brushed over my cheek. And before I could think too much, I closed the distance between us. The second kiss was different, filled with everything we had just survived. When we finally pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine, and for the first time that night, I felt truly safe. "You still think you were meant to find me?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, and I'm not letting you go now." The forest had tried to break us, but in the end, it had brought us together. And maybe, just maybe, that was worth everything we had just survived. As we stood there, the adrenaline began to fade, replaced by a different kind of heat. Ethan's hands moved from my face to my waist, pulling me closer. I could feel the warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart against mine. His lips found mine again, this time with a hunger that matched my own. The kiss deepened, our tongues entwining in a dance of desperation and desire. His hands roamed over my back, tracing the curve of my spine, sending shivers down my body. I pressed closer, feeling the hard planes of his chest against mine. His breath hitched as my hands slid under his shirt, exploring the muscles that had protected me just moments ago. Ethan's lips moved from mine to my neck, trailing kisses down to my collarbone. I gasped, my head falling back as his teeth grazed my skin. His hands moved to the hem of my shirt, lifting it slowly, his fingers brushing against my stomach. I shivered, my body aching for more. He pulled back slightly, his eyes searching mine. "Is this okay?" he asked, his voice husky with desire. I nodded, my breath coming in short gasps. "Yes, please." That was all the encouragement he needed. He lifted my shirt over my head, his eyes darkening as he took in the sight of me. His hands cupped my chest, his thumbs brushing over my nipples, making me gasp. He leaned down, capturing one in his mouth, his tongue swirling around the sensitive peak. I moaned, my hands gripping his shoulders as waves of pleasure washed over me. He moved to the other breast, giving it the same attention, his hands never still, exploring every inch of my skin. I could feel his tool pressing against me, and I reached down, my hand cupping him through his jeans. He groaned, his hips bucking against my touch. I fumbled with the button of his jeans, my hands shaking with anticipation. He helped me, quickly shedding his jeans and boxers, standing before me in all his glory. I took a moment to appreciate the sight of him, his body lean and muscular, his erection proud and ready. He reached for me, his hands sliding down my hips, taking my pants and underwear with them. I stepped out of them, kicking them to the side, my body trembling with need. Ethan pulled me against him, his skin hot against mine. His lips found mine again, his kiss urgent and demanding. I could feel his package pressing against my stomach, and I wrapped my hand around him, stroking him slowly. He groaned, his body moving in time with my hand. But he didn't let me keep control for long. He lifted me up, my legs wrapping around his waist, as he carried me to a soft patch of grass. He laid me down gently, his body covering mine. I could feel him at my entrance, his tip teasing me. I lifted my back, urging him on. He slid into me slowly, inch by inch, filling me completely. We both moaned, our bodies fitting together perfectly. He started to move, his body thrusting against mine in a steady rhythm. I matched his pace, my body meeting him with every thrust. Our breaths mingled, our moans echoing through the quiet forest. The pleasure built, our bodies moving faster, our kisses becoming more desperate. I could feel myself getting closer, my body tensing as waves of pleasure washed over me. Ethan's thrusts became more urgent, his body shaking with the effort of holding back. "Come with me," I whispered, my voice breathless. That was all it took. With a final thrust, we both came undone, our bodies shaking with the force of our release. Ethan collapsed on top of me, his body slick with sweat, his breath coming in ragged gasps. We lay there for a moment, our bodies entwined, our hearts beating as one. Ethan rolled off me, pulling me into his arms. I rested my head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. I started, but I couldn't find the words to finish. Ethan chuckled, his chest rumbling under my ear. Yeah, it was. We lay there for a while longer, our bodies cooling in the night air. But eventually we had to move. We dressed quickly, our bodies still humming with the aftermath of our passion. As we made our way back to the trailhead, hand in hand, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude. The forest had tried to break us, but instead, it had brought us together. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what happened next, we would face it together. That's just the start of our story together. We have a lot to tell you more. For that, stay tuned, and don't forget to like it for part 2.